Hey folks, Nash Taters here, and welcome back to another episode for War of the Visions Final Fantasy. Alright, so in my previous videos, I have promised that I'll be making daily videos on this wonderful game. Unfortunately, for those who have supported me so far and watched the last two videos, the sound quality has gone down dramatically, and that's because my headset slash microphone was a piece of crap. And that's what you get when you pay for crappy items. So I got rid of it. I spent some boku dollars and I got a really nice set of headphones and a brand new state of the art microphone. That's right, folks. We are going to be redoing a couple of the videos, and this we're going to be doing first will be the units. I know in one of the previous videos, a person has asked me to kind of go over the units, which I plan on doing anyways, but this person did ask me about maybe building a team to clear content using free-to-play units. So let's go ahead and get this started. All right, and by the way, I also got some royalty-free music that's playing in the background. I think is very fitting for this game. So, all right, so first rule of units is pretty much you want to look at the ones that the game give you first, because those are free. The company want to make sure that you have all the elements and all the pieces to make your unit as great as possible. And that first one being Mont, the main character of the game. Now, the game doesn't give you all the shards to make this character full limit break. However, we talked about before in the shop, you can purchase his shards using your gold. So he's very easy to limit break to 5. Awakening wise, he's an MR, so he only requires the Azure Vision Sphere. And these ones are pretty easy to get. At least much easier than the rainbow versions. However, it still requires rainbow rocks. So, therefore, you want to save up some of those to try to get your Mont to level 99 first. As you can see, I still need to work on some awakening material for mine, but this again is my free-to-play account. So right now I'm not really 100% rushed to do some parts of the account. But first thing you need to do is work on Mont, because he is a tank. If you want to use him as a tank, choose the Paladin sub job. And what this will allow you to do is it will allow you to have access to many of the really strong skills and giving him really good defense, really good mitigation against opponents so he can survive longer. And so that should be your first character you work on. The second unit maybe you should work on would be depending on the UR. That's going to vary from account to account, correct? But if you are lucky enough to get Ayaka, she is pretty much the best support unit in the game. She is very strong. Even in current situations in the Japanese server, people are starting to utilize her more in their team compositions. She has heal, which in this game is called Cure. And she has different upgraded versions of that, including Cura. So my strong recommendation is if you have her, get her to awakening as fast as possible, and then limit break her as much as you can based on the number of shards you can acquire. I will also work on the job levels as well for her. Same thing goes with Mont. If you can work on the jobs, go as high as you possibly can, given your resources, correct? The next couple of units I would strongly recommend would be damage units. Since the team composition consists of 5 units on your team, anytime you go into story mode, anytime you go into any sort of event battles that requires utilizing your own team, you're always going to be given this screen. So you're going to have 5 of your units plus 1 companion unit. My suggestion is have a tank, have a healer slash support unit, and then upwards of 3 damage units or 2 damage units and 1 extra support unit. And the reason for that is because Ayaka is a pretty good healer in the game. So if you're going to use her, she has really good healing spells and support spells. But if you choose to use 2 support units, Phoebe, it's a very, very good unit, and she's only an SR, so she's really easy to get to level 99. Plus, her Trustmaster is one of the better ones in the game because it gives you agility and high defense, and a little bonus of light attack resistance. And anytime you see things like attack resistance plus whatever the element is, all it means is that you will reduce more damage from that specific element that you're trying to target. So in this case, you're targeting light, and you're going to get resistance from light elemental attacks. So her Trustmaster is very good to get. Also, obviously, very easy to get. So I would strongly recommend her. And the reason being is because she's a time mage, and she has access to one of the most powerful abilities in the game. And that, my friends, is haste. Hate bestows haste on ally for 3 turns. What that means is that's going to increase their speed. They're going to have a chance to basically out circle or out turn your opponents, meaning that they can actually take 2 turns while your opponent is only taking 1 turn. And you know that's pretty powerful because that means you're getting more attacks, more heals, etc. So, to review, 1 tank, 1 support, 3 DPSers or 3 attackers, or 2 attackers plus 2 support. So for a total of 5 units on your team. Depends on which URs you obtain. Build the ones that is the most powerful for you on the terms that you have re-rolled and you're satisfied with the units that you obtained. My strong recommendation is Ayaka as a support and Mediana as your damage dealer. Mediana is one of the best mages in the game. Now, there's a caveat to when people say best, because she is an ice element. Therefore, she is probably the best mage for that element. She is not, however, perhaps the best mage in the game. The problem with this game is it has many elements. And just because she's really good at doing damage, it doesn't mean she's going to be good at doing damage to all other elements, right? Makes sense, because that's the way the game is designed to balance the damage and to balance the units. Sort of, right? So for example, she is weak to fire. So if she was to go up against 2 fire units, chances are she's probably going to get destroyed by those fire units. Even though she could do a lot of damage, just bear in mind there is no such thing as quote-unquote best attacker, best damager, best tank, etc., etc. Even though people like to use those terms because people out there are creating tier lists, etc., etc. And bear in mind, tier lists really isn't the end and be all of everything. Just because you don't have quote-unquote the best unit that everyone says is the best unit, it doesn't mean you don't have a good account. Over time, you're going to be acquiring many units. And ideally, you want to have at least 1 to 3 units for every element. And that's because certain maps, certain quests, certain events is going to require you to utilize those units. So the game, as you can see, has tons of units, right? And it's our job to figure out which are the best ones that either caters to our playing style or which are the best ones for specific situations. But as a beginner, which is what these guys are for, I would highly suggest leveling your mod to level 99. And even though he's an MR, his statistics are going to be much better than yours who are a much lower level. And I would suggest rolling for Mediana because she is a really good farmer for you as well as a really good damager. Try to also reroll for Ayaka if you can. So ideally, these 2 would be the 2 best units I would highly recommend to get. There's another unit called Engelbert. He is a light unit, which I don't have, but he's a tank. Let me see if I can find it. He is considered by many as the best tanking unit in the game. Again, we already talked about best and etc. So my suggestion is if you get him, great. If you don't, you have Mont as an option for tanking. Let's see if somebody I know has Engelbert. And here he is, Engelbert. So Engelbert is a light unit. Seemingly all the better tanking units in this game are all light. And he is considered one of the best ones as well because, again, he has the Paladin subjob. and he just does pretty good damage for a tank, and he just has a lot of defense and just a lot of HP. So, if you're lucky enough to get him, go for him. But bear in mind, he's a UR unit, so he's going to take quite amount of resources to upgrade him to level 99. And as a free-to-play, it's very hard to upgrade multiple URs at the same time. My recommendation is 2 at a time, plus 1 MR unit, SR unit, and those should be your goal every time you're making a team. I was able to get Orlando on this account. He was part of the Final Fantasy Tactics collaboration. He's a limited time unit, but the Japanese server has recently released part 2 of the collaboration, releasing newer units in addition to redoing Orlando and Ramza. Now, I'm not saying that's a guarantee we're going to be getting that on global. However, if we do, then I would recommend getting Orlando. He is also a really good attacker. If you already have him, congratulations. He's probably one of the better attackers currently in the available roster that we have access to. Now, if you don't have him and you happen to get a Frederica, she is also a very good attack unit. However, I'm not 100% bought into gunners at this time. And the reason I say that is because they're units that require range to do a lot of damage to you. And they have low hit points, but they do have higher evade, and they have abilities that make them evade or dodge in normal terms, I suppose. So they can be really good if you have good support around that specific gunner. But if you get her and you don't have Orlando, I will recommend building her, because after all, she can put out really good damage. And if you have supporters in the tank, it makes a really solid team for arena or PvP. And if you don't have her as a gunner, you can always use Ryu. He is really good gunner as well, but bear in mind he is a dark unit, and this game likes to give us really good dark units. I would say all the dark units are just really good. So just be mindful, you're going to need a lot of materials to build up all your dark units. So we've gone over some of the DPSs I recommend, and here are some other units that I recommend as damagers if you don't happen to get the better ones. Ziza, in my opinion, is really good for support as well as damage. She also has one of the best trust masters in the game. Something that contains accuracy and agility. That's pretty insane. That's actually the best combo you can actually get, because Agi increases your speed, which allows you to move faster. And the more you move, the more damage you do, right? It also has this special skill, which bestows AP auto restore on self for 3 turns. That's really powerful too, because it allows them to regenerate their AP, which means they can do more things as they're moving faster, based on the fact that it gives you Agi. So this is considered by many to be the best trust masters in the game currently. The way to level up this, as you can see, it has level 1 to 20. It's the same way as if you're trying to level up the abilities of the character. And that ability is the limit break ability for each character. Their special moves, as they will call it, I suppose, or ultimate move or super move. In order to level these, you need specific pots. And they're the mini burst pots. I don't have a trust master on this account, but in order to level the trust master, it's the same thing. You will go to your equipment, you will open up the menu for trust master, as you can see, I don't have it, and then you click on the item and click on the skill underneath there, and then it's going to open up the pots, which will be the ones you will level up. It has to be specific pots. The 2 pots, one is for their Trust Master skill, and one is for their Limit Break skill. And the game automatically, obviously, deciphers that for you. So, now that we talk about the top tier units that you can build, I would recommend building other characters that the game also gives you for free. And the first one is the Gafgarian one. He was also part of the Final Fantasy Tactics. He's a dark attack unit, And his Trust Master is a weapon, which is a pretty decent weapon. It has crit and really good attack. So if you did happen to play during that time, he's the one that I recommend definitely building up as your dark attack unit. If you obviously missed that, I would recommend Shadow Lynx. She is one of the fastest unit, and she also moves the farthest unit. And that's some of her really powerful strength. However, the same things that are her strength are also her weakness. She moves really, really fast, and she can move really, really far. If the rest of your team are not as fast, she's going to just be running out there by herself, and she's going to get slaughtered. Because the AI design in this game is that the enemy units like to concentrate attack on units that are near them, opposing units, right? So if you're going to send her out in the middle of war, they're going to gang up on her, and they're probably going to kill her really fast. The only good thing about her is she has very high evade / dodge abilities. So she has a chance to survive some of those attacks potentially before the rest of your squad catches up. She is utilized a lot in actual PvP battles where people get to manually control their characters because of the fact that she has high evade and she can do really good solid damage. And Ninja is her main class. That's why she's able to move really far and really fast. So she is a unit I'll recommend because of two other situations why. First one is she has Dream Within a Dream, which is a 3-hit combo attack against your opponent. This is really good because a lot of the quests requires missions that need you to do chains, meaning that you need to get consecutive hits without being interrupted. And she will meet that requirement because it's also a elemental dark damage and regular chain damage. So therefore, she's going to meet those requirements as soon as you open her up at Awakening 6 stars. So she's a highly, highly recommended unit to build. Now, if you didn't happen to get her either from normal pools and you got Ryu as your gunner, he's also a really good one I would recommend building. But again, bear in mind, you shouldn't be building too many dark units at once. Just concentrate maybe on one. And then as soon as you get that person to a decent level, then you can start working on the next unit. The decent level I'm referring to is level 79. Which in most cases, actually that's a bad example. In most cases, I guess this is a bad example too because I don't have him fully awakened. But Limit Break 3. 3 gems here. And fully awakened will take your character to 79. The reason people say that's a sweet spot is because as soon as you awaken them to 6 stars, you have access to the outer rim of your abilities, which are the more powerful ones in your grid. And that's your goal, is to access all of these different abilities. So your job is to get them to 3 limit break as fast as possible and fully awaken them, and you will have a level 79 unit. And then each additional limit break is going to increase them 10 levels. So obviously 5 limit breaks is going to get them to level 99. So those are the things you need to be concentrating on when you're looking at your units. The key thing is do not overextend on building your units. Don't build too many units at once. I'm not trying to build all these URs. What I'm doing is I look at my units and I just go ahead and do their shards every day, which you can do from the hard quests. As soon as you have access to these hard quests, I will highly recommend farming these shards because you are limited to 10 battles per day, 10 attempts per day. This is pretty much applied to free to play. If you're a whale, none of this stuff really matters because whale is just going to be dumping money. And by the way, thank you whales for supporting this game to allow people like me and many others to play this game and enjoy this game without having to spend money. So basically, I will highly recommend going for these shards of your UR characters every single day. And hopefully within a few months, you'll be done with those characters. My suggestion is, take a look at all your units. Do the ones that people suggest or the ones that you really enjoy playing and building. Just bear in mind, you want a tank, couple of supports, and up to 3 attackers. That should be always the formula you want to go for. And then build your units, because there's, technically speaking, not many bad ones in this game. The beauty of the units in this game is all about strategy. there's millions of combinations that you can create using different units. And you can do a lot of fun things in this game if you just put your time and energy into sitting down and strategizing and building the team that caters to your playing style. So, my suggestion is to take the 5 units, go ahead and you choose them as your favorite, and then every time you access favorite, those are the ones you should be working on. And then once you're done of getting them to either level 79 or higher, I will start suggesting you start moving on to the next set of units. Generally speaking, the other rule of thumb I go by is make sure you have 1 to 2 units for each element. Okay? There's going to be a really good tank coming up. His name is Warrior of Light. Considered by many to be one of the best tanks in the game. And I think this word best of the tank in the game is kind of justified because he's really good at tanking magic damage and he's pretty good at tanking physical damage. So he's conquering both worlds of tanking. And not many units can do that. Mont is a really good physical tank. He's not a great magical tank. So if you happen to pull Whisper, which I don't have either, but let me see if I can find her. She is right now the best magic tank in the game, I believe. And she is, lo and behold, light. Correct. Light. Everyone likes light. I guess the game really enjoys light units. See if I can find her. Oh man, I can't find her. And I don't have her, so I can't showcase her. But maybe next time I'll showcase her if I see her somewhere. So I think that's pretty much it. I did want to give a shout out to AOJ, also known as Cabbage. He is one of the best YouTubers for covering this game, in my opinion. He is really good at deep coverage in terms of characters. He's a no-nonsense kind of person. He will pretty much tell you like it is. And he has been playing the Japanese version since for a long time. And he's been covering this game for a long time as well. I have the link of his YouTube channel in my description. I will highly recommend checking out his content. And so this is it for units. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave it in a comment. And as always, if you enjoy my content, subscribe. Why not, right? And I will always ask you to hit the notification button. Reason being, if you're a subscriber and you have the notification, it's going to update you on the content I put out. Now that I'm having the equipment to do so, I'm going to put out videos once a day covering this game only. I wanted to play different games and cover different games on this channel, but I think in the meantime, I'm just going to cover this game. This is my favorite game, and I'm just going to stick with this game and this game's content. We're going to be covering more later down the road. My favorite, wink wink, my favorite equipment, and we're going to finish out the Espers and the Vision cards. And we're obviously going to have to redo the mock shop video because of the low sound quality. And I think that's it. If you do like the video, hit the like button. And if you dislike the video, please, I ask you to put in the comment why you disliked it. And I'm not going to stop you from hitting the dislike button, obviously. But I just rather you put in why you disliked it instead of just hitting the dislike button. So that way I can improve myself, I can improve my content, and hopefully bring you more entertaining content over time. So, as always, remember my motto is, time is your most valuable resource, so use them wisely. Until next time, take care of yourself and your family.